Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you. I thank BW, Jyotsna, and the entire team for this opportunity. We're going to talk about a topic very close to my heart. When we think of design, we think of the aesthetics and how beautiful it looks. But something that we often miss out is how every space carries a story. So through this panel today, panel with distinguished designers, we're going to explore how design extends beyond the aesthetics and how spaces tell a story. Let's do a quick round of introduction. We'll start from here.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Vineet Nikum. I am an architect, filmmaker, game designer. So I run a studio along with my co-founders called Bricolage Bombay, where we try to do projects that are on the boundaries of space and other etc. So like one of the projects that we've done, which has become very commercially successful, is the Museum of Solutions. So we do basically museums and a lot of experiential spaces for B2B clients.
I am Mariam. I'm the director at Epistle. We are the South Asia's oldest and largest consultancy for architects and designers. We believe in bringing the Indian architecture and design to the forefront at a global platform.
Well, this is Neha Garg, founder of Studio Jane Designs. I'm an interior designer, and I was originally not. I had a story that since my childhood, I was interested into designing, but with some circumstances, I couldn't get into that. I've landed into finance after serving as financial analyst for 5 years, and then I realized my all the interest lies into designing. So from last 14 years, I've been practicing as a designer now. And with that, we have a typology for high-end residences, hospitality, and holiday homes. And yes, artificial intelligence-based experience centers also. And with this, we believe these spaces should not only be aesthetic, it is more important, it has to be functional. That's it.
Hello everyone. Hello Mumbai. I am from Delhi. I am Kuntal Vyas Agarwal, and my design studio's name is Resaiki. I'm a Resaiki grandmaster, and Resaiki means Reiki, and I follow Sai Baba. So I mixed it and I made it Resaiki. Now it's a trademark. So I strongly believe in creating spaces which enhance the spiritual side of a person, because I think on the material realm that we are in, I think spirituality is something's going to be going forward with us. So our practices are centric mostly towards premier residential commercial spaces, but how are we contributing to overall well-being of a person who's consuming that space? So that is how Resaiki is.
Hi, good afternoon everybody. Thank you for having me here. I'm Vandana Saxena. I represent Studio 4 Designs. I've been in this industry now for 21 years. Our firm, Studio 4, mainly does hospitality design. We've done close to about 60 to 70 projects in the country today, and we also work on residences and commercial interiors as well. Today I see design as an important factor to foster deeper human connections, because with us using technology so blatantly, we are losing that deep connect, and that is how I feel design can come in and help us create deeper connections and more meaningful connections at a human level. Thank you.
Thank you, thanks. So we'll start with you, Vandana. How do you distinguish these narratives with the theming of a space when you design a project?
So I feel theming is very superficial. It is, it is not skin deep. When we talk of a narrative, we're talking of building the basic DNA of a space. So, what is that thread, that common thread that is going to flow through each and every space of your design, which is going to help it give it character, help bring emotion into the space. You can bring emotion through the use of material, by integrating craft, by bringing the context in through various vocabularies. That is what helps create a narrative, and you can do that. We've done various projects where we have been narrative driven. We've recently renovated a very iconic project built by Charles Correa called Cidade de Goa, Many of you must have been there. So that went under renovation after 40 years of being built. And when it landed on our table, we had this golden choice to make whether we wanted to stamp our own brand into it or build on the narrative of what Korea's vision was. And his vision was that of a Mediterranean Portuguese hamlet that was tied so deeply into the culture of Goa, yet be very modern and bright. And we took that narrative and played with it and made it made it more relevant for today. So we retained whatever we thought was great, and we brought in elements that were still Indo-Portuguese and Goan in flavor, and we made it our own, and it yet remained Sadade Goa for anybody who went there. So I think in a nutshell.
So, Kuntal, how do you look at telling stories through the design, and how is that driven? Is it driven by context, by clients, or something that you believe in?
I think it's an amalgamation of everything that comes to us. I genuinely feel when we are designing a space, it's not a product, it's something that is your story. And as per the data, almost 80% human behavior is impacted if the space is not designed well. So I take it as a large responsibility as to what is coming to me. It can't be just casual project where we are picking up stuff from internet and putting it all together. It has to have a story, it has to have a context, it has to have all that thing that a person on an end user or a brand philosophy that comes and penetrates in and on a visual context. Now, apart from this being into a spiritual understanding, I genuinely feel a lot of things happen instinctively. When we practice certain practices, I feel a lot of things I do, and then we realize, oh, that was the best thing for the project. So I feel it's very instinctive, apart from being and backed by the education that we have and the context that we are being told by the client. So everything goes in hand together for me, for our practice.
That's very interesting. Neha, my question to you is, so how do the different things in the project, whether it's craft or materiality, how all of them come together and act as storytellers in a project?
Okay. See, we have been hearing about stories so far only in the tales, or you say theaters or films. And when you are asking that how do we imbibe all that in our spaces, so trust, this is no different. How each chapter in a story tells about some scene, some plot, or some character. Similarly, when we create the spaces, each subspace, each character, each personality into it, all together makes that story. And that's the inspiration of any and every project. Whenever we start a project, we start with very deep listening. That's the first step. We understand them. We understand the experiences, we understand their exposures, we understand their emotions, we understand their lifestyles, what are their aspirations from the space or aspirations from their life. And once we have to create the space as a designer, it's our responsibility to create something which is a reflection of true their character or true their personality, and that is what every story does, and that is what even designer does. And I believe this is the very simple and the easiest way to convert any design into a story.
That's a very interesting take. Vineet, would you like to tell us how do you ensure that the story does not slip into a gimmickry basically, and it does not follow thematics only, but says a larger story?
Okay, so we work a lot with clients who want to do museums. And so I'll tell you our perspective. So we see the role of a designer not just as a designer. So in the context of telling a story, what it means is that you don't fit into the fit out part of the project. You don't fit into the end bit of the project. We start with actually questions, and we start with like the process that Neha was talking about, which is design thinking, which is empathize, which is conceptualized by IDEO. And for a lot of times, there are no mental models or fixed frameworks when you do museums. Like There is no gallery structure. There's a need of a story. A story can be told in some museums that we are doing, can be told linearly. A lot of times stories can be told in loops. Stories can be broken, but what does it exactly mean? So I'll kind of try to decode or tell you how we approach it. Is that the last layer that everyone thinks about is maybe the addition of nowadays digital technology or a lot of these screens to the space. But the first layer is actually to clarify what is the end learning outcome for the space, because we work a lot with spaces for children. So it becomes very easy for us to kind of have these frameworks through which we kind of do this. And I think for a lot of these, like just funnily, we live in an age where every website now asks us, are you human? So, I mean, like in the last 3 months, almost every SaaS service that I subscribe, some of the prompts. So I think experiential narrative and storytelling will become far more important in spatial design with the time to come, because how can AI replicate all of these is something that I keep on thinking about.
Thank you. So Vineet, since you mentioned about the museums, have you seen your users interpret a story, in a way that you did not anticipate at all?
Yeah, always, with young children and exhibits. So children's museums are not like your adult museums. They're not full of artworks or things. Every exhibit is a learning device. It can be a small toy. In the case of Museum of Solutions, we have around 120 exhibit, each being a story with an engagement time that ranges between 3 minutes to even 25 minutes. And there are learning designers who come together with content creators to kind of define these stories. So we obviously are not we are not the ones who do the stories ourselves. And every exhibit in this case was place tested with 5 age groups and economic groups of students. So for example, there is an exhibit called Water in Our Tap that talks to children about how water comes from the sun to their tap in Muso, which is done using short throw sensor-based projectors where children can tap on the walls. So this story actually is a 6th standard science textbook story that we kind of created entirely in a museum to kind of create experiential learning. But to ask you, to tell you how kids interact, we thought kids would interact with it linearly. They would tap the sun first, then they would tap the chlorination, and then they would see the linear process. Kids are crazy. They just tap on everything that you don't, like you would not imagine how kids would like work with museum exhibits.
So, Neha, tell us, if a project, what is it that, a design loses if it does not really tell a story but follow mere themes or aesthetics?
Okay, I think, in fact, that's a very good question. We are always being tagged when we are talked as designers, we are tagged as themed design, but that's not the case. Theme always follow the emotions. Emotion is the first thing, narrative of the project which has been given by the designer or which has been given by the clients and inspired by their personalities, their lifestyles, as I meant, their emotions and exposures and experiences. That comes first. When we understand that, only then theme comes into the picture. So how does it, it actually, it loops every thread together. So it first starts with understanding them. What are their choices in terms of colors, in terms of some kind of era, in some kind of cultural influence, or what are their aspirations, how they want to live their life with their family, with the guests, or with the kind of the work or the personal life balances they want to do together in the space. So when we get to understand their personality, we pick multiple elements based on colors, based on textiles, based on sensibilities, other sensibilities, and then also based on how are their cultural influences, how much they are traveling, how much they are taking, what are their choices from their travels. Do they have something which is out of their heirloom, or which is out of their heritage, or are the one who are also being connected to the earth, to the nature. So all that, once these all points come together, we thread them, and that all together comes as one picture, which we can term it as a theme, which is not one specific thing, but then influence of multiple aspects which are coming together and making one space or one.
So you're basically saying that you're marrying the two things,
Yes,
right?
you're marrying multiple things, not just two things, you're marrying multiple things, and that makes it's a unique theme for each project.
Kuntal, so would you like to share any surprising way where a client has asked you to bring their story, a very different way of how they want their story to be shown in a space? Have you had that experience?
First of all, I really want to have an experience like Vineet, where you're making a loop and you're making an interactive space for a kid, not being lucky enough to, see something like that. And again, I really like the context what Neha has been sharing. About me, I think as humans, clients are really attached to their moral values, and especially the client who are in their 60s, who've come back, or they've come from Patna to Delhi, and they have their old rooted old house back there. So I think the general superficial request has always been कि हमारे उधर जो काम होता है वैसा कुछ हो सकता है क्या घर में या elevations में. And I really like, and I don't know, I get very emotional knowing that they have come a long way, but they still have those values, and they want their new house to have that emotional context of what they have left behind. So we did something like Purana, जो उनका मोहल्ला था वहाँ पे oldest house में there was an old what do you call it, बहुत पुराना door था which had some metal stuff. So we tried engaging in party there, and we got that, and we pulled that, and we got it in their Delhi house. So that was a very beautiful thing that we did. Apart from that, for one of the client, वो बहुत laborious job में थे, और फिर अब उनकी एक multinational company है. So उनके desk के पीछे में उनका autograph मैंने engrave करके लगाया. So he got so emotional कि मुझे realize नहीं हुआ मैं इतना आगे आ गया life में. But when you autographed me and my signature, and you've kept it as a back wall of my work desk, मुझे अब लग रहा है मैंने बहुत कुछ कर लिया है, इसके पहले तक नहीं लग रहा था. So I like this emotion that we are fortunate to engage with, and that is how we are fortunate. That is how we create spaces.
So we all agree that all these spaces tell a story. Vandana, something that I would like to ask you, that as a designer, how should we make sure that, how should we narrate the story in the best manner? What should be the role of a designer in telling the story which is authentic and true to one?
So that's a very layered and complex question, Mariam, because I wish I could spell that out as a solution so easily. But yeah, I mean, there are various techniques that we all develop as we practice, and there's no one solution that fits all. My typical approach, or our studio's approach for any design project, and we happen to be mostly doing hospitality projects where you're not designing for one client. That client is the owner who's putting in their funds. But the guests who are going to come to that hotel or to that space are going to be many from various geographies, from various cities of India, from all age groups. So you're creating a space that has to be liked by people of various, of any demographic, of any age, etc. So the approach hence has to be very unique. And to approach something that feels rooted to that geography, to that space, should start ideally from a space of research. So we go in as a blank canvas. We don't go in with blinkers saying that we know it all just because we've been designing hotels. But we go in as a blank canvas, and we do ground research, which means that me and my team, we walk the city and we experience it as a guest. So we go in and we eat the local food, we talk to local people, we see surrounding monuments, we see historic buildings, we see buildings that are preserved, and with that we come back with a lot of thought in our mind, because those experiences shape our feelings. we go into a certain emotion as people. And that is when we go down to our drawing board and say, okay, let's now start putting in what stays with us when we come back. And typically what stays with us is what is the true emotion of the city, or what emotion that evokes in us. So, we're designing a W Hotel in Hyderabad. That's an upper upscale lifestyle brand. And it's complex because you cannot be literal when you design a W. You have to be very abstracted. And for you to be able to abstract a design, you have to get into the core DNA of what does the city stand for. And for you to do that, you first obviously study it at a deeper level, and then when you come back and you sort of start putting together your emotional mood board, or your mood board of what you went to, the places you went to, you come back and you say, okay, if I was to think of that city, I would say it's very monolithic in nature. When I go down to the monuments, everything seems very beige, black and white. There's a deeper level of detail and layering in the frescoes there. There's a certain feeling you get when you're visiting a monument. So you break that down and you create that as a separate layer. And then of course there's this layer of functionality that is all pervading across all kinds of projects that you do, be it residential, commercial, hospitality. That is the given. It has to serve the purpose that it is supposed to, right? So that is that layer that you have to essentially solve, and you layer that layer of the city's fabric on it. And then you go to craft centers, you talk to artisans, you touch and feel the fabrics, you touch and feel the various wares. So for Hyderabad, the Bidri, the Pochampalli, Ikkat. I mean, there's so much in every city of India, thankfully. We're a very culturally rich city. So there are these tremendous influences that you come back with. And then I think the most important part as a designer is to be able to then edit out your thoughts and to say, what is it, that one thing that I want to talk about? You cannot talk about everything about the city,
absolutely.
right? So what are those 1, 2, or 3 things that you want to talk about? And then you come from a space of restraint. And you say, okay, my story is going to be within this box that I want to define, and say that this is what I want to talk about, and that becomes then the DNA of the project. And yeah, that's typically how we approach a complex project.
You've beautifully put it together.
Thank you.
Vineet, what is your take on how design actually tells a story, and how can it be talking about a cultural continuity?
Okay. So just yesterday I was telling my friend, he's a filmmaker, and we were joking about the fact that OTTs, cinema, mainstream cinema, everyone is failing to tell us stories. So now interior design and architects have to tell stories, because I think we live in a world of continuous downswipe. So everyone wants an Insta story, or this need for constant need for storytelling is like, I think, a part of our culture now. So that is like, so obviously spaces should have this storytelling narrative, which I think on a larger level, it's this, there are few things that maybe deep down, like now we are not even in the chat GPT era, we are in the agent era of chat GPT. So going further, I think the way the future or the technology is kind of coming down upon us, these basic human cognitive abilities of empathy, emotion, understanding of depth of space, or understanding of mood of lighting, understanding the smell that a certain space gives. I think these are the things that technology cannot even put it together, or maybe I feel it can't put it together in its algorithms. So I think it becomes everyone's responsibility to kind of put experiential or engaging spaces in, and every designer, I think, has a different way in their portfolio of putting it together.
Thank you. Neha and Kuntal, I would like to, you both to leave our audience with the thought that how should design actually carry forward the Indian architecture?
Okay. So before to this conversation, when we were talking off this stream, Kuntal was asking that whenever we see Instagram, we see everything as copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. I hold a different view, because when I see these days, these designers have been, we designer community, whether it's the interior designing or the architectural designing, or for that matter, any kind of designing, is very experimental. They are trying multiple things. They are fusing multiple cultures also. They are fusing multiple dynamics right from the architecture to the landscape to the interiors. Now talking about from one of our project, what we are doing, that's a villa in Goa. And typically when we hear of Goa, that's like Portuguese, okay? That's not the case. When we are doing that, it's a fusion of the architectural level, definitely it has to be Portuguese because that should reflect of that local culture, what is imbibed there. And taking the influence of that, now going inside, when we come as into the role as interior designer, we have imbibed Art Deco era into it. We added very modern, very quirky furnitures, which are loose pieces, very vivacious artifacts into that, which is very contrasting to the Portuguese style and that of the Art Deco on the walls. So the base of the walls were designed into Art Deco with a hint of Portuguese, which was outside, taking the context from outside to inside, and then adding a lot of modernism into it. This infusion and this kind of dialogue always gives a lot of a difference and a kind of very interesting interpretation. This is at least how I do when I mix multiple cultures, right? Be it taking inspiration either from architecture or from different eras or from different styles. This is how we can do it.
We were discussing as to why every client is coming to us and talking about the house to be Instagrammable and everything is, okay, we'll share a Pinteresty board with you. So our discussion was like, are we not being too consumed by what client is liking as compared to what, on what region context we are in. So I was telling that when I was doing lighting design from Milan and how all the street looked very fabulous, all the elevations were so amazing, but the backdrop just suited it so well. Now if you take that architecture here, so I don't think we're doing justification to that visual context was my understanding. I was like, okay, how much as they are proud of their cultural setup, how can we flaunt our cultural art and other things and imbibe that in that modern context. So one of a very recent, not very recent, but Lota Cafe is a very good cafe in Delhi, and they've got Lippen art. So Lippen art is usually in a very mud-based thing, but they've got it in white color. So when you see Lippen art in a white color context, it becomes modern, yet it has that essence of Lippen art, which is the basic region art. So I think I want to practice a design setup where I am proud of where I'm coming from, and on that level, if I can have more of aesthetics and functionality, like that is what I would ask for.
I completely agree with you, Kuntal. See, whenever, I think we all have traveled a lot, and whenever we travel to some culturally influenced architectural in the landscape,
Most of the spaces are.
Most of the spaces, be it Florence, be it some other, or maybe for that example, Bali if we go, or be in India if we go to Rajasthan, or for example, Goa when there's a Portuguese influence. So there's a particular style of cultural influence into that. And I have heard that multiple regional governments, they have put a rule that certain percentage of their cultural impact should be there at their architectural level, and then rest a certain leftover percentage, maybe 30-40%, they can take from the modernity or the modern style or the global style. This is if we all together in our regions keep that cultural value intact in our region and adding that modernity or the global influence, making it a local level. So I say it's a global plus local, level.
Do you know there's a trend called old money style? So old money style is basically everything which is more very understated. So now young kids are coming to us like they're 18, 19, and they're saying, Ki, I need my room which flaunts in old money style. So they need deep wood carved, side sofas and chairs and all. So I think it's of course trending, but I think coming back to the space we've originated from, it's a good story. Like that is what I feel.
Vintage revival, I would say.
I see that the timer's up. Thank you for such a rich and layered conversation. For me, for somebody who comes, who works at an intersection of design and communication, it's very interesting to know that, design is not only to be talked about. The stories that, as a communication consultant, I put forward to the world, it just does not end here. It starts from, from the way you make a project, from the very initial stage. So I think that is one thing that we leave the audience with, that design tells a lot of stories. And perhaps I think the challenge of our industry is how we do it with a lot of depth and honesty.
It's true. Thank you.
Thank you.